Well, welcome everybody. I'm Michelle Vance, the Executive Director of the Windsor Downtown Development Authority, and I just wanted to welcome you all to our What's Happening Downtown podcast. And I just want to welcome Bradley Nelson.
Thanks for having me.
From Windsor Mill Tavern, which is one of my favorite restaurants here in Windsor. And just tell me a little bit about the tavern.
So the tavern is it's a really cool spot, and we're totally blessed to be where we're at.
Kind of like our little speakeasy.
It totally is, yeah. So we were supposed to open a long time ago, and then before the old mill burned down. But the whole idea was to take the downtown area of the old historic mill and turn it into this like really cool, beautiful kind of, like you said, speakeasy, but not so speakeasy,
sexy,
more like sexy, upscale pub, but approachable bar restaurant to the masses, right?
Yeah.
And then in 2017, when it burned down.
So you've been hanging that long with this? This idea has been around that long?
Oh yeah, like we were only a couple months from opening before it burned down, right? Wow. And so then when the fire happened in August of 17.
So they were redeveloping that space.
Yeah. So when Blue Ocean came and bought the space in, I think, 14 or 15 to turn it into kind of this community hub, kind of this space where everyone can gather with a brewery, with some office space, with restaurants, with kind of like a downtown hub. That was the whole goal, right?
Wow.
And then leading up into just 2017, then the fire happened, and it was like, oh.
And if you haven't been over to the mill is pretty much a catalyst in our downtown, when you think.
Oh,
I mean, it's the shining star in downtown. And Blue Ocean, if you don't know who they are, Otterbox, which we all know Otterbox, Blue Ocean is a subsidiary of, they're the more of the like real estate arm.
Yeah, the development
arm of Otterbox, which is smart, And we're blessed. There's 4 buildings here in our downtown that are owned by Blue Ocean, which kind of says a lot about Windsor, don't you think?
No, 100%.
It's a good place to invest.
Awesome for Windsor, right? Like they believe in Windsor, we believe in Windsor, right? And so to have that company come in and want to continue, like when the fire happened, there was a big up in the air of, is it going to happen?
Right.
It would have been really easy for Blue Ocean and for every investor in each different concept to say, well, man, this is too much. Let's just pull out, take the insurance, like whatever. But for Blue Ocean to stay invested and say, no, we're going to see this project through.
Right.
And then for our partners to say, no, we're going to see this project through. That was a big deal because, again, we believe in Windsor and we believe in what is going on right down here in Main Street. And so that was really cool. And so, it was a big push from when the fire happened. 2 years is what it took us.
Thank God there wasn't another tornado.
Right.
There's days, though, do you get a little nervous when you see, like, some of these clouds around here? And you're like,
last week we were in the basement like, oh, no.
I know. It's kind of wild around here. You get all the weather alarms and they're letting you know that there might be something. And I'm like, please. I mean, the mill is so beautiful. So if you don't know, the tavern is located at 301 Main Street, and they're right here in downtown. And you can see the mill. It's the biggest building in our downtown. It's right across from the lake. It's gorgeous. So what makes your business? I know you have like this sexy appeal and it's kind of like a speakeasy thing, but what makes you unique to other restaurants in the region?
So in Windsor and even in Northern Colorado, I think what we try to do is focus on hospitality first and foremost, right? And so hospitality, serving the guest, giving them an experience. Now we're blessed to be in the old mill down in the basement to create this ambiance that's absolutely incredible that you couldn't recreate if you wanted to, right? So that's a big bonus. But for what we try to do is have incredible food, incredible drinks, but incredible hospitality first and foremost, and to just create a beautiful experience for the guests to come down, and whether it's date night or friends hanging out
ladies' night
or a business meeting or just going out to dinner, like anything and everything. It's for everyone, but it can be as sexy and fancy as you want, like you mentioned, but can also be a casual brunch on the weekends.
Let's talk about that intimacy. You have that really cool room, the wine room. Tell me about that.
The wine room is really special. So during kind of like the redesign after the fire, we took this space kind of across from our kitchen that is a small intimate wine room. We built these beautiful glass wine walls that house all our wine. That behind that is a kind of casual living room style seating area with armchairs, sofa, coffee table. It's really beautiful.
Wow.
And that seats like 8 to 10 people, and it's perfect for, book club or bachelorette party or business meeting or date night or anything like that, because it's completely private.
So
but
you have like a little stipulation though. How do you rent it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's we call it reservations for a cause, and in December we design a charity calendar for the entirety of the year, and so every month we have a different nonprofit that we try to raise money for every month of the year. And to reserve that room, it's a $100 charity donation, and that entire $100 goes towards the charity of the month, and that gets you the room, right?
Speaking of charity, I was fortunate enough to work with you guys. You guys had a fireman's ball.
Yes.
You do it, so it kind of to play off the fact that the mill burned. You guys do this really cool fireman's ball, but you don't just. It's not just a fireman's. It's kind of the anniversary of the fire.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah.
And so one thing again with the fact that we were able to reopen after the fire is a big deal, and something that we're really into is community engagement, nonprofit, like giving back, right? And police and fire is really close to our heart.
Yep.
Not only just because of the fire, but just in general, like first responders, police, fire, that's really important. So every year in September, we put out the police and firemen's charity ball that we raise money for. We do a silent auction. We do a fundraiser.
I think in the
really
the first year, because one thing that you guys have a great partnership with the chamber, right? And I heard the chamber helps you put on the silent auction and manages it for you.
Yep,
and
totally.
I heard from a birdie that you guys raised about $14,000 the first year for. $7,000 each for police and fire.
It was incredible,
which is awesome. And it was a packed house. They bring the old fire truck out, right?
Yeah.
And
the
can
real
see it out
old
front.
one.
Yeah, it's really
super
cool.
fun.
You can get your picture taken inside and stuff. It's pretty neat. So besides that, you guys have you do live music, and also I've heard there's live music.
Yeah. So what's fun is we do live music every Wednesday. We started that about a year and a half ago. Every Wednesday we do live music from 6 to 8 on Wednesdays. But what we just launched this summer is now we're doing live music every Saturday from 10 to midnight.
Cool. So we can have a place to go after hours.
Late night, and it's happy hour from 10 to midnight at the tavern as well, right?
Good.
So late night, happy hour, live music every Saturday, 10 to midnight. And then Fridays are fun.
Wow.
So what we're doing this whole summer for Fridays is all day happy hour Fridays from 2 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Wow.
2 to midnight, Fridays happy hour. And then from 10 to midnight, a little karaoke.
Well, that's when people have a little bit of liquid courage.
So, so just a little bit something fun for people to do on the late nights in Windsor on the weekends, right? And so we're trying to kind of bolster and make some more fun for the weekends in Windsor.
Because there's not a lot to do. I mean, Windsor is very quaint, very bedroom community feel, very family oriented. So, like if you want to dance, or there's no clubs here. So there we kind of lack that. So it kind of gives an opportunity for people to hear some music, and live music. It's really charming, and there's a lot of artists around here.
Oh, there's so many.
And the Chamber of Commerce does a Blues and Brews crawl that's coming up in July, on July 15th, if you want to know. Tickets are available at windsorchamber.net. I kind of know the people that plan that. It's kind of neat, and it happens in downtown, which we love. But there's musicians posted at different corners, and the after party is over at not the tavern, but at the brewery, which brings everybody to the mill.
Absolutely.
So
and
it's more exposure
like you said,
for
it's
everybody.
kind of the hub where people kind of flock
the
towards.
Place.
Yeah, totally.
So anyway, I love your guys' business. You guys do a great. You've won some pretty esteemed things like Bartender of the Year, and kind of tell me about that.
I think 2 years straight we've won Bartender of the Year in NOCO, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to our culture and our bar program in general. Like Devin Duran has taken the face of Bartender of the Year for the last 2 years, and that kind of goes just towards what we do as a team. Yeah. And
one that I love particularly is Kim. Tell me about Kim. Kim is so rad.
Oh, she's great. Yeah. So she's been with us since we started, and she was nominated this year for Bartender of the Year.
Hey, everybody, we've got to vote.
Vote for Kim this year, right?
It's
so coming into
Style
the next
magazine.
No
Just
Go
go
Style.
look up Bartender of the Year. Kim. Just
Yeah.
look up Kim from what's her last name, Kim?
Hein.
Ken Hine from Windsor Mill Tavern, okay?
Yep.
No
So-
Style magazine. I think the voting goes on for a while.
It does, and I think it starts maybe next week, actually. Yeah.
So we got to promote that. So send that to the DDA and we'll
I
help
certainly
you.
will, yeah. So that's super fun. So I think people recognize like the program and what we're doing down there is that we want to be approachable and welcoming to everyone, but also do something a little bit to push the envelope when it comes to the bar program and when it comes to the food and everything. Like we just launched a new menu about a month ago.
Oh, I know.
And
It's delicious.
our new menu, we just completely changed all the food.
Except you kept the mac and cheese because that's my favorite.
Kept all the favorites. We kept all the favorites, but we added a ton of new favorites,
Cool.
right?
Right on.
And then our cocktail menu went from, 18 craft cocktails that we make in house.
Wow.
Now we're at 35. So
Wow.
now you can flip
There's
through the
even
book.
a drink that has a bubble on top, which I
Oh,
think
yeah,
is the
the-
coolest.
yeah,
I
the
call it- I don't know
pop-off.
it- Yeah, the pop-off.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, some of the drinks are almost like art. I mean,
Yeah, and that's what I want to push the envelope when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to what you experience when it comes to a drink. Like you can go to Manhattan or Chicago or San Francisco
Right,
or DC
right.
or whatever and go to a cocktail bar and find some really, even down in Denver, like
Yeah.
some edgy or kind of like exciting one-off kind of craft cocktails. But what I wanted to do is to bring that to Windsor
Sure.
and do some crazy
Our
stuff
specialty.
when it
We're
comes
special,
to, we
right?
certainly are. And that's
Yep.
why like you should be able to do that here.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to push the envelope every
Good.
single day when it comes to drinks and food and everything. And that's what we like to do down there. Push it a little bit, but welcome everyone
how
at the same
big's your
time.
team there?
I got about 40 staff at the
Wow.
moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how is it going? Because I heard it's been tough, to get, people to want to work. and
Anything, yeah.
Is
Well,
it,
ever
is it,
since
is it getting better?
COVID, so we're getting to the point we're actually doing really well. Like
Right on.
we have a solid team.
Yeah.
And we have a solid back of house. Back of house is
Critical.
hard,
Yeah.
getting people,
Yep.
hiring enough people,
Yep.
and then figuring
Yeah.
it all out right there.
Yeah.
We've actually done a really good job, and we
Good.
have a solid culture, which I think is super important.
Well, when you have a good team is when you see them years in a row.
Exactly.
Not
yeah.
just months, but they've been around for a long time.
Exactly. And
And
that's
I've gotten to know a lot of your staff. They hug me. They know my name.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm a once a week. I play a lot of pickleball.
Yeah.
You have a couple employees that like pickleball, which I thought was
Okay.
kind of neat.
Yeah.
But so I stop by, have my nice little glass of wine after our tournaments during
Mm-hmm.
the week, and you know what? They're so nice. And I never met. I always like to. I love bars that have your regulars and they know your name and they treat you really well. And I think that's what the tavern has.
Yeah, and I think that's what has been super important to me since we opened is culture. And culture for me is the most important. Like you can create a great drink, you can create a good burger, but if
Right.
you don't have the culture
Yep.
of your team
can make that at
around
home,
you,
right? It's
then
all about the
You have
experience.
to have the experience and the culture where the staff wants to stay and work
Yes.
for you and respect
Yep.
what they're doing,
Yep.
and then provide that hospitality back to the
Right
guests
on.
because they love what
That's
they're
so
doing,
cool.
right? So
So do people have to make a reservation or how does it work there?
yeah, so we don't do any reservations. We're kind of a walk-in, first come, first serve basis, with the exception of that private wine room,
Right.
like I mentioned before.
And the back room, too.
And
You
then the
can
back
reserve the
room,
back
yeah,
room.
we can reserve that and that is for kind of larger
How
groups.
many people fit in that back room? So I want to make sure we highlight that. We have a
Yeah.
lot of problems in Windsor trying to find meeting space.
Yeah, 100%. That's a
So-
great space. So 24 to 30
Yeah.
is what we can fit in
Okay.
the back. I think it's 30 we would max out at. Like 24, 28
Mm-hmm.
is kind of perfect. And there's audio, video
And to
capability and,
reserve,
everything like that.
how do they reserve that? Do they
That
call
would
you
just
guys?
be a phone call or an
Okay.
email right to me.
Yep.
And then
I'll
we'll
put your
just-
contact information on, how to get a hold of you.
Perfect.
I'll link that.
Perfect.
If they want to rent the room or rent the private room too.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
they have a great TV. I know that the Windsor Chamber uses it for their Women of Windsor networking
the
group, which is
first
great.
or second Tuesday of the month,
Yep.
and it's a
So,
fun meeting space.
yeah.
And so, yeah, that's how.
Good.
Otherwise, kind of walk-in basis and
Cool.
welcoming.
And it's kind of overflow too on busy nights, right?
Oh,
That
all the
back
time.
room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, we
Good.
have we actually have quite a bit of space. So
Yeah.
even when it gets busy,
And a beautiful patio with a gorgeous fire pit. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. When during COVID, we did a big old photo shoot and we featured you guys. And
Yes.
and I know that a couple of those photos have been covers of magazines and ads, and it's just a natural backdrop for.
yeah, it's a beautiful space. Like I can't even speak
Right.
to how
Yes.
wonderful the space that we're blessed to have. Right.
Right on.
So
Well, we thank you guys, and so the Windsor Mill Tavern. What's your guys' website?
So windsormilltavern.com. You'll be able to find our menu, events page where any big events that are
going
coming
on.
up is always going to be on there, as well as a contact page to reach out to
Good.
us if you wanted to maybe book that wine room
Right.
or a large party group or anything like that, or just reach out for any sort of inquiries for sure.
Well, we thank you for being a part of our downtown,
Well,
and the
we're
mill
blessed to
has
be here,
offered
yeah.
just this beautiful catalyst and kind of a turning point, and I think in Windsor for us, and we're blessed to have you. And anyway, so thank you, Brad, and thank you all for what's happening in downtown, and just follow us on our YouTube page of the Windsor Downtown Development Authority, and we'll see you all downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.